This is Michael Lighten, and I'm a reader at writer of sci-fi works. Today, I would like to read Giant Feet, and that'll be the first chapter on Giant Feet. Quote from William Shakespeare: "Teach me, dear creature, how to think and speak. Lay open to my earthy gross conceit. Smothered in errors, feeble, shallow, weak. The folded meaning of your words' deceit." That's when the comedy of errors. This book was written about a comedy of errors that thing just got out of control. Prologue started as an innocent gesture and cascaded into an uncontrollable event that decimated lives. So it was near the beginning, new times before Mars felt able to write a precise report and send it to the president of Bolin and all the other areas connected to the superhuman project, including Logan's Port, which was overlooked by Eddie as a hideout for superhumans. Writings of Superhumans, New Times. Mexicana, formerly Mexico, New Times. Between no year, Mexico went through a variety of earth changes. Many of them caused rivers to rise and ocean waves to desolate communities so that many were washed away, never to be found. Areas that were hills became mountains and buried many under rubble and dirt. With small islands that acted as strips, many of the land resembled fingers that connected to other areas. When electronic bridges were used to build them, Mexico saw a boom in the economy. What was left of Mexico's political system dissolved until a woman stepped forward to take charge and assist in changing the name to Mexicana, a kinder, feminine, more just than the last version, she said. When the superhumans traveled in the ship and saw an opportunity to stay hidden in the mountains of Mexicana, away from society and large populations, they extracted equipment from the underwater vessel and began to bore underground and make their own tunnels. Whenever they were exposed, people were killed through long spears or crushed to death by strong arms and their bodies thrown into the water, but they were buried far from communities. 8 bodies were discovered through water currents or scavenger robots looking for buried treasure from nearby owners, who were required by law to send human images to the police for investigations. Rumors abounded of a large hidden army prepared to launch an attack on Mexicana, and to curtail fears, the authorities began a sweep of the area with robotics able to do deep scans into the mountainous area. Superhuman Harold Man peered at a vice screen with green eyes that were bloodshot. In the New Times, they had remained hidden with the help of Mars II and many of his friends. But the death of Mars caused a lag in supplies from various points, especially their elixir to survive the superhuman juice. The juice was developed through Eddie Bean to prolong their lives, but with only 8 superhumans left from thousands, and Harold saw the handwriting on the wall. Harold could no longer contact Eddie, who, if he were still alive, would be 47 years of age. So Harold began to inquire unknown sources on the juice, but imposters and enemies were everywhere. These inquiries opened the door to curious people who remembered people years ago who died violent deaths through crushing or long spears. Suddenly, on October 19th, everything changed for Harold Mann and his remaining superhuman friends. That was the day when the walls fell in on them. Mexican authorities, 56 in number, arrived with air vehicles that fired rockets into the mountainside. Light rain began to fall as night dropped. Strobe lights were used to enhance vision, but the lack of a response confused the authorities, and they wondered if this rumor was true. Detail 2166 arrived with the support of nearby law enforcement. With only a crew of 14, they disembarked from a large, dark flying vehicle and produced weapons. They were not sure what they were walking into until Sar gestured for them to lower their weapons. Sar's dark, long hairs were almost hidden in his black and green uniform, night vision goggles, and other electronic gear. Who was in charge of this operation? Sar asked. A short, stocky man stepped forward with two soldiers in green and blue uniforms. I'm in charge here. I'm Commander Arguello Ramirez, and who? And you are, Arguello asked. Commander Saw of Detail 2166. Saw shook his thick hand. I see you started bombardments. Any response? Not a peep. Robotic scans indicate underground tunnels in places not well protected by lead. Arguello glanced behind Sar. You didn't bring much help. Our complement stays at 15 or less. But we can handle our own in a fight. We're well trained and committed to the cause of world peace, Sar said. Arguello snickered under his breath. For a price, Arguello said. I know you were in the area and decided to join us, only after we made a call for our mercenaries as backup support. Our intentions are pure. It's about world peace, and we are here to keep it, Sar said with a smirk. Arguello faintly smiled and turned toward the mountain. Our robots cannot scan past their shielding. We suspect an army, a possible invading force, Arguello said. Beniti, who oversaw scouting ahead to assess the area, raised his hand. Sar acknowledged him with an introduction. He's the best at assessing the situation, Sar said. Beniti smiled but held down his pride to complete his sentence. We only counted about 10 of them, maybe less. They are dying from not having the special juice to keep them alive. Their supplier Eddie Bim succumbed to a heart attack a month ago, Beniti said. That will put a kibosh on their supplies, Arguello said. We suspect they are using sophisticated blocking techniques like fortified shielding and special tubing blended with lead to block incoming signals, Sar said. We'll pull back and let you guys do what you do to soften them up. Then we can go in for the rest, Arguello said. Remember, these are superhumans. They don't go down without a fight. We take none alive, Sar said. They all peered at each other as the rains began to pound against their gear. Plus, we don't have the means to take them in. We do not have the special juice they would need to survive. They would die within a few days, Sar said. Lipton was short with a stocky build and pink skin, and oversaw electronics and equipment. As he ran forward, Lukeman carried or hurried forward brown-skinned dark eyes and high overhead and forehead as rain battered his body. Egbert, along with Eben, were the brains behind the idea of charging for military help and establishing a franchise that branched worldwide. But they preached and lived wherever Detail 2166 went. They followed through example. Chapman and Loretta oversaw electronics and hurried forward before the action began to assess what was behind the mountain. They turned in a small circle and read instruments on a dial. Loretta was concerned about her blonde hair getting wet, but had to shake off that feeling to help in her concentration of the matter at hand. I am picking up lead-based concrete barriers and a modified shield, and several individuals who shift in and out of heat range, Loretta said. They're probably using a shifting tech we don't know about, Sarah said. Destin and Nan were point men who scouted regions to assess the situation and report to Flora and Sar for final say what to do. Nan hurried forward with his green gamma gun weapon, was not pleased it had a half charge, not ready for battle. That keeps a bad charge. Be aware, Destin said. You are right, I lifted the wrong weapon, Nan said. Stay sharp, Sar said through his speaker. These are superhumans we are dealing with. Superhumans or not, we're going to kick ass, Flora said. eyes were rolled and the sighs emitted. Don't get her started, Destin said. I'm already started, Flora said. Flora was the floor commander and acted as a team leader to motivate the unit in pitch battles to achieve objectives. Solar acted as a liaison with the various governments and regions due to his connections with his wife, who acted as a world leader without the title. Nan reminded him he should not be there. I won't tell her if you don't tell her, Sola said. You know I can't keep my mouth closed, Nan said. Sola raised his furry eyebrows below the green helmet as Angel ran to his right and bent to produce a silver gamma gun. Sola smiled because he knew the silver ones were antiques, but fired just as well when not overheated, a fault in its design. Picking up a high heat signature, Shatton said. It's a glorified laser machine gun. Oh no, Loretta trailed with fear in her words. Loretta's small body exploded as Chapman dove for cover. Streaks of laser had cut through trees, grounds, and rocks. Military trucks exploded as Arguello's forces shot back. Detail 2166 began to return the fire. The damage was immense as they tried to regroup. Solar returned fire from his point and watched as Angel stared at her antique silver gamma gun. When her body exploded in fire and screams, he realized that her weapon overcharged and bent low to get away from the heat as she walked and collapsed in pain and destruction. Now that was parts of the Superhuman, but actually it's a whole new book called Giant Feet. It has the superhumans, the left of the remnants of superhumans in Mexicana. So I hope you enjoyed that. You can get the book on Amazon, drafted digital. There are various connections like Books and Main, Barnes and Noble, I believe it's Barnes and Noble. I'll look into that and put all that down. And also, you can get it through Google Play Books, an ebook, and you could get that through the auto narrated. And the voice sounds good, much better than my dry voice. So, this is Michael Lighten. I hope you enjoyed that version of Giant Feet. See you in the next video.